That's caramelized all the way down. Time for the tomato sauce. Okay, open that up and then get your tomato sauce in. Literally half a jar.
Ramsay's adding canned tomato sauce to this. Like, seriously. Gordon Ramsay recently made a butter chicken recipe that a lot of you guys were telling me, James, you have to see it because Ramsay just came out with a butter chicken recipe and Uncle Roger hasn't reviewed it yet. So, well, today we're going to be seeing this recipe and, well, seeing if it's a good recipe or seeing if it's something more like his ramen recipe that he did in 10 minutes, which turned out to be a bizarre recipe.
What the Uncle Roger can't watch anymore. The broth all wrong, no tare, barely any aroma oil, wrong type of noodle.
In any case, guys, if you do happen to enjoy this video or my other videos as well, and you do watch my content and you're a returning viewer, then be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos, and hit the like button as well so this video does a lot better because it means a lot to me, and that way I can make more videos for you guys. Now, let's get started.
Welcome to Next Level Kitchen, where I'm going to be showing you some recipes full of tips and tricks, but more importantly, to help take your cooking to the next level.
Take your cooking to the next level. Did Gordon steal my catchphrase? I used to say this in my early videos with YouTube. So, who knows? Maybe, huh?
And I think you know by now that I love an absolute challenge. So this is curry in a hurry. I'm here today to show you one of my favorite dishes, butter chicken. I actually went all the way to India, to the birthplace of butter chicken, to really understand what it takes to get this chicken curry absolutely right.
I haven't seen any of the videos where Gordon actually did go to India to learn how to cook like butter chicken and a few other dishes from India, like biryani and everything. But we should see some of those videos because I think he did enjoy that trip quite a bit.
First off, we're going to marinate the chicken. Now, you know I love a challenge, so I did say curry in a hurry. So let's put 15 minutes on the clock, please. Let's go. Right, first off, get that chicken, take off those little tenders, and just cut those tenders in half. Put them into your bowl. Get your breast, and literally slice it down the middle.
You can see that Ramsay here is cutting on 2 cutting boards. So why is he using 2 boards? I think he's using the first board because it's for the chicken. So he doesn't want to do like a little cross-contamination. And then he's going to take that away and then use the cutting board underneath. Or it could be that he just wants a little bit of extra height.
Depending on how much time you've got, depends on the size of the cubes, okay? So I want this done in literally 15 minutes. So literally cut them a little bit smaller.
Gordon's right about this. The smaller that you cut any product, such as chicken, veggies, anything like this, the faster they're going to cook. And the larger you cut them, the longer they're going to cook. And also marinade, because it takes a longer time for the marinade to penetrate a larger portion, such as a larger piece of chicken.
If you're doing thighs, just cut the thighs into sort of 4 nice little bits of chunks. If you're doing legs, which you can also make that beautiful chicken with legs, then just literally keep the legs whole. Now, into the marinade we go.
All right, so if anybody saw that, normally when you hand over raw chicken, you need to wash your hands thoroughly with soap and sanitizer and everything, and then dry them off, and then you continue working. Whereas Ramsay literally just touched his chef cloth and wiped his hands off. Normally in the kitchen you see some chefs do this. You even used to see Julia Childs do this in her cooking. She used to be handling raw poultry and then taking a chef cloth and wiping her hands off and touching everything else in the kitchen. This technically is cross-contamination. So I wouldn't recommend to do this at home just so you don't get sick, but this is technically cross-contamination.
Inside there, touch of salt, some pepper. And now this is where the marinade starts. Fresh turmeric, about a teaspoon. But again, just cook with your eye. Literally a nice teaspoon of turmeric. Cumin as well. Again, a little teaspoon of cumin.
Oh, so far this is looking a little better than Jamie's curry. Gordon is using a lot more seasoning than what Jamie was using in his.
Some ground coriander. And again, literally just cook with your eye. A nice teaspoon. In she goes. Cayenne. Sometimes you can use a really nice smoked cayenne pepper as well, and that gives it a little bit more sort of richness to the actual butter chicken. And then my favorite spice, which is a mixture of 16 to 20 odd spices, a fresh garam masala.
So Gordon is adding a few different ingredients such as cayenne instead of degi mitch, and cayenne can be quite spicy. So if you don't want this to be super spicy, you need to use a chili, even if you can't get it, but you need to use, say, paprika or something, sweet paprika that has that red color, but that's not going to be that hot. Also, guys, if you see that my voice is starting to go a little bit, I lost my voice last week because I've been sick, so yeah, in the rest of the video, my voice may, disappear a little bit.
Get your yogurt and literally go in with 3 nice tablespoons of yogurt. That will help really marinate the chicken, and it will really start adding that lovely flavor.
Now, the reason why he's saying that yogurt works is that they actually did a study, I forget which study it is, but you guys can look it up, is that the yogurt can actually penetrate the muscle fibers much more effectively than just, say, oil or other substances. So you see a lot of marinades, especially in Indian cuisine, with yogurt. And it does work. It's like, it really does work. It helps to tenderize the meat, but not just that, it helps to infuse a lot of flavor with it. So if you add a bunch of spices with this and you marinate it overnight, you'll notice a big difference.
From there, a little bit of oil. We put the oil in now, so as when we come to start cooking the chicken, it's already set.
He's adding oil to the mix now. It's kind of not necessary because when you go to, say, I don't know, go to cook this or anything, you're going to be adding oil to the pan. We'll see. Let's see the rest of the video.
If you could do this the night before, here's a little next level tip. If you marinate the chicken the night before, I promise you, it penetrates the chicken so well, it goes all the way through and literally stains the color. And sometimes you see in these old-fashioned Indian restaurants that they're using food coloring. The traditional way, as you know, is to marinate the chicken the night before, and it literally lifts up the flavor.
That means no 10-minute marinades like somebody we know.
I'm gonna let that marinate for about 10 minutes.
What? What he say?
Nice hot pan, as always. Get it nice and smoking first. And then we're gonna start the sauce, the base of the sauce. Because it's a nice butter chicken, I like using red onion. White onion's fine, but red onion's less harsh than white, and so it really does give it a nice mild flavor.
In a lot of the butter chicken recipes that we have reviewed, they do use red onions. So if you can get them, use them. But if you don't have them in the house and you don't really feel like going to the grocery store, but you have all the other ingredients, it's not a necessity. You can use other onions.
We're gonna blitz this sauce, so don't get fancy with the little chopping. We don't need to. Just slice the onions down in half, and again, oil into the pan. And now we're going to start caramelizing those onions. Generous with the grapeseed oil.
Now just keep in mind that this is a recipe where you do not add olive oil to the recipe. If you don't have anything else in the house, you can, but the problem is that olives, especially extra virgin, has a very strong flavor, and that can influence this dish. So unless you want to be following Jamie's recipe, don't use olive oil.
Onions go in. How long, please? 2 minutes gone?
3 minutes gone.
Thank you. A couple of cardamom seeds. Underneath your knife, little tip, and just bash them twice. And that just opens up and releases all that amazing fragrance from the cardamom. Cloves, leave them whole. And then from there, in we go.
This recipe is a little different. Ramsay's not using any bay leaf, and he's trying to caramelize the onions, which we saw in the previous video with Chef Ranvi, the very first one, that he said specifically that he did not want to caramelize the onions.
The color that you want in the gravy is not from the browning of the onion.
Then again, I don't know if Gordon is going to be adding any honey or anything like this, because with Ranvi's recipe, he was adding honey at the end to sweeten it a little bit.
Now, start cooking those onions down. Now, spread the onions up the side of your amazing pan, and that will start caramelizing them really nice and quickly.
So what Ramsay is meaning by this is that when you have a wide pan, it's easier to cook the ingredients faster because there's more contact with the cooking area, the cooking surface. So he's cooking in more or less like a little bit of a wok, which, you know, the sides are a little steep. So if all the food is bunching in the middle, you need to kind of spread it out a little bit so it cooks, it has contact with the outer side of the pan. Otherwise, you're going to be steaming a lot of the vegetables instead of like sautéing. And here, like Ramsay is wanting to do, he's wanting to caramelize. So you need to sauté, which means cook hot and fast in a little bit of fat, which is oil.
From there, your ginger. Just take your ginger, slice it into half. Again, we're going to blitz this, so don't get fancy, wasting time doing all the chopping. And remember, when we're blitzing things and puring those sauces, we don't need to have that precision with the knife. We can be a little bit rough and ready. Ginger in, onions, ginger. My chili. I'm going to leave the seeds in because I want to up the ante with the heat. And if you ever do make it a touch too hot, a really nice tip is to add more butter. Okay, butter's a really good cooling agent and takes out the heat.
Gordon's right about this. Anything with a high fat content like heavy cream or whole milk, but butter really does help. So if you do eat like say a ghost chili or a Carolina Reaper and your mouth is on fire, instead of drinking a gallon of milk, you may want to take a little bit of butter and stick it in your mouth. Seriously, you may want to, because it will help to cool your mouth down. Not just that the butter is fat, but if the butter's cold, this also helps.
Leave the seeds in, again, and in. Now, that smell is delicious. Really coming together. And it's fresh and it's fragrant. And again, just get the back of the spoon and spread that up the side of the pan. Now, get your garlic, again. 3 nice cloves of garlic. In. Once those onions start to break down, this is when we're going to start adding a touch of richness now, okay? So, think about it. Onions, cardamom, cloves, garlic, chili.
Also another thing, whenever you have like a big cutting board like Ramsay does and you're cooking, this becomes a force of habit, is that you have your cutting board like right on the edge of the counter, and instead of taking a spatula or anything to move the ingredients from the cutting board to the pan, you take the pan off and you just push everything into the pan off of your cutting board. It's a lot faster to do this. If you have the space in the kitchen, this is a better option. With me, my little cutting board that I use normally at night, I don't need to do this. I can just pick it up and put everything in the pan. But if you do have the big cutting board, it's a much easier option than picking up the cutting board or taking a spatula or anything. It's faster.
And now I'm going to start putting my butter into those onions as well. And that's going to really start getting this thing really nicely caramelized. Now, turn the gas up and start letting that caramelize beautifully. Now, as I start that process, with a little bit of fresh cilantro, I'm going to use the stalks for the sauce. I'm going to use the tops for the garnish. So I leave the tops there. I take all my stalks and I go into the pan with all that beautiful goodness.
Right, so Ramsay's adding coriander stems right now. With Chef Ranvi, he did add coriander at the very end. Ramsay's also not adding any cashews to this. So if you are allergic to cashews, you know, this could be a good option to omit them. You just add more cream because the cashews have a high fat content, so they help thicken the sauce. But, you know, if you don't have an allergy to cashews, right now would be a good option to add them.
You can see it's all starting to come together. In there, I'm going to put a little touch of my garam masala and just a light dusting of garam masala. That's going to dry up all that fat. A little touch, again, of the turmeric. And I'm sort of just literally lightly dusting the onions. Cumin, because I want to toast this spice in there now. And it's very similar to the mix that I put in with the chicken in the marinade.
I'm sure all of you are noticing that Ramsay today is really just winging it. He's not measuring anything. He's literally just cooking by eye.
And now, as you can see, that paste is coming up really nice and soft and caramelized, and it's starting to really smell delicious. Touch of the cayenne. So it's a similar sprinkling that I did in the marinade. And look, toast that now.
Ooh, this seems like it's going to be a spicy recipe. Ramsay keeps adding more and more cayenne to this. I don't know. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be spicy.
Look what's happened to my onions. They've almost disappeared. They've gone into this nice, sweet, caramelized puree. In the pan, next to it, because this is a quick marinade and it's literally a curry in a hurry, okay, I'm going to start cooking my chicken. I've got everything I need in there. the marinade, the yogurt, and the oil. And we just literally start cooking the chicken. Beautiful.
Quick tip, if anybody doesn't want to like clean a lot of oil and splatter around their cooktop or around their hob, then it's a good idea to use a deeper pan when sauteing any chicken or anything with a lot of oil and you need to like sear something. The deeper the pan, the less splatter and less spray you're going to have around it. That's the one thing about cooking that I don't like, is that afterwards you have to clean up.
Get a little bit of colour on all the marinade in there, okay? And this is where this curry really starts to take on a sort of a nice flavour on its own. But look at those onions and all those aromats there, the ginger, the garlic. Beautiful.
Well, I'll tell you what, so far Ramsay's not doing bad. Yeah, the recipe looks a little different than what we have seen, but so far I would have to taste it, but so far it doesn't look that bad.
Now, just squash down the chicken and just get that coloured. If you want to go up to the next level, you can grill this chicken separately and then add it in, but I like putting it in the frying pan, especially when we've got a full household and it's a curry in a hurry.
If you do have a grill, I would recommend doing it because that way it'll be more like a tandoori chicken, which you should be using, say, leftover tandoori chicken to make the butter chicken. That will add a nice smoky flavor to this, which is something that you need. And if you don't do that, or if you don't have that, you're going to be missing that element, that smoky flavor. So I'm curious to see if Ramsay is going to add a bit of a smoky flavor to this, like we have seen some of the Indian chefs doing in the previous recipes with butter chicken. It doesn't take that much effort and is very effective.
And that chicken's already changed colour. And don't worry about the colour on the chicken now, that's what we want. A nice richness. Now, that's caramelised all the way down. Time for the tomato sauce. Okay, open that up and then get your tomato sauce in. Literally half a jar.
Ramsay's adding canned tomato sauce to this. Like seriously, canned tomato sauce. And if you look at this type of tomato sauce, it's like all tomato paste that's been added to a little bit of water and that's the sauce instead of actual tomatoes. It doesn't take that long to actually cook fresh tomatoes, so you just add them at the beginning of the cooking process and within less than 10 minutes, they're done. I would adjust this with the recipe. I wouldn't be adding canned tomato sauce to this.
Beautiful. Bring that up to the boil. As that starts to boil, then we're going to add our double cream, and this is where it goes up to another level. So it's a really nice, rich butter chicken.
And guys, just have a look at the consistency of this tomato sauce real quick. Like seriously, it's nasty. I mean, this is something that I wouldn't be using. Yeah, I would never use this unless we're remaking this recipe to test it. But personally, I don't buy this, not at all.
Bring that up, and you can see the colour. It's really starting to take on a really nice dimension. Now, look at the chicken. The chicken's roasting beautifully in the pan. The sauce is making headway. My rice is steaming. Turn down. I just let that cook slowly there. And smell that marinade. Absolutely delicious.
Ooh, scrapey, scrapey, scrapey. The Hexaclad pans are really good, but like any Teflon pans, you still need to treat them nicely. Now, I'm sure that you can use metal with them without really damaging the Teflon, but it's just a force of habit not to use and not to scrape a metal pan with a metal spoon. It's just bad form, bad habit. Then again, if you are a multimillionaire and the pans aren't yours, or if you don't really care, then it doesn't matter, unless you don't want Teflon in your food.
Like I said, the thigh, the drum, beautiful. When you're cooking with the breast, it's so much quicker. Now, before I start blitzing my sauce, I want to taste the flavour.
And this is one thing whenever you're cooking, you need to taste throughout the cooking process, not just at the end. It's very important. If you need a little more salt, if you need, say, more cayenne, if it needs to be spicier, if you need to add this, that, or the other thing. Because sometimes, you can catch yourself, and instead of having like a bland dinner, you can make something delicious.
Needs a touch more salt. Needs a touch of lemon juice. And that really brightens up the flavor, especially with the richness of the cream and the butter.
Ramsay's adding lemon to this. I haven't tried lemon in butter chicken before, and we did see Jamie make with someone else as well a butter chicken that was a better butter chicken recipe, but we saw him add lemon with this.
If you can add a little bit of lemon juice,
And how much would you like?
that'd be perfect. Brilliant.
A lot of you guys were telling me with that video as well that some of you were saying it was okay, but then again a lot of others were saying that it's not. So let me know down below if the addition of lemon is something that's normal in India, depending on what region you're in, or if it's not, because I'm curious to find out.
We blend our sauce. We're cooking the sauce twice, okay? So, now this is where I get a really nice velvety color. Time, please.
There's nothing like adding a little bit of Teflon to your sauce. You know, just scrape, scrape, scrape constantly. It's a good thing Uncle Roger's not reviewing this video. Maybe he will. If any of you guys want to see Uncle Roger reviewing this video, be sure to send it to him.
Lid back on. Nice and slowly now because it's hot, so don't whack it up fast. Just nice and low, hand over the top, on, and just start that low. Literally 30 seconds, you'll see that nice, smooth, beautiful tomato gravy. Lovely. Now, take all that out on my pan. There's a nice thing about working with these pans. I'm going to put all that extra marinade in there because the sauce is going back inside here.
Hex-clad pans. These are like Ramsay's pans. These are the only type of pans that he seems to use in all of his videos. And I think he also uses them in all his restaurants too.
Now we got momentum. Turn that up.
This is the moment when you have the sauce that's super hot, it's in the blender, you're blending it, and you have cold cubes of butter already cut. This is the moment that you want to add them. That way, you can help emulsify the sauce and you can create a delicious sauce. And if you're using a Thermomix, I would recommend using that because you have a lot more control. Then again, Vitamix is also a good blender. If anyone from Thermomix is watching, I'd love a sponsorship. I won't say anything else until I get one, huh? But it's a good product.
Now, you don't have to do this, but it's a bit of a chefy thing. It's a tip. It's a sort of, it's a really nice thing to do, especially to a beautiful, rich sauce. I like to pass this sauce literally through the sieve.
If you do actually pass this through a sieve, it does help the sauce. It helps make the sauce more silky, creamier, because you have all the little bits that you blended up in the blender before that, and unless you don't want that consistency, it's easy just to pass it.
It's got this really nice, rich, buttery flavor. You just take the back of the ladle and you just squeeze that round. And look, out comes this immaculate, velvety, beautiful, rich sauce. And the reason why I do this is I've got the sort of whole cardamom pods, the cloves. Now, you don't have to, but it's a really nice way of finishing that amazing sauce.
Do it. Yeah, it does. You'll see a big difference if you try this at home.
It's velvety, it's smooth, and it's the perfect sauce. I put my chicken in there now. Scrape all that wonderful flavor from those pans in. And look, you bring this together, okay? And now this is where I add the magic. A couple of knobs of butter, literally in there. And then back on the low heat.
So far, Ramsay hasn't added any smoke to this. Well, he also hasn't added any honey to sweeten it. Then again, he did caramelize the onions. Interesting. Well, let's see how this finishes, this video.
And then finally, get your lemon and just hit that with some lemon zest.
He's adding more lemon to this. Really? Lemon zest on top of the lemon juice.
And that's going to give it a really nice, fragrant finish. And it really does just absolutely finish off that chicken. Don't boil it. Turn the gas down. And it's really important, whenever you add butter into something, you never boil it. And a great tip is just to literally use your spoon and work that butter into the sauce.
Now, if anyone's wondering why Ramsay is saying never boil butter, it's the fact that you can split the butter. And that's not a good thing if you split the emulsion. So normally you want to keep it on low heat, below the boil. You can keep it hot, but you don't want to keep it too hot because otherwise it can ruin the sauce, it can ruin the puree.
And then finally, correct the seasoning. Find out where we are. Touch more salt. A little touch of pepper. And then get my fresh cilantro, slice it once through. I love the spice. I love the heat. In at the end, and once that butter dissolves, it's going to come together as this beautiful butter chicken. 1 minute left, right.
1 minute left, and Ramsay hasn't added any smoke, no honey, no Kira water as well. This is also another element that Ramsay added. But the smoke, yeah, that adds an element of aroma to this. Interesting. And of course, no cashews.
My rice is steaming. Take that out. And even if you're doing a wonderful dinner party, literally serving this with homemade chapatis. Delicious. That there is literally the most amazing butter chicken done, beautifully done.
Oh, that's it. Well, it's a curry in a hurry, isn't it? So, I don't know, he left out a few stages of this recipe that I think could enhance it even more.
That is curry in a hurry in literally 14 minutes and 58 seconds. Motherfuckers.
Overall, if you just looked at the recipe, or the finished product, let's say, it doesn't look like a bad product. Yeah, it looks good. It's emulsified, so, you know, it doesn't look like it's split. He was using chicken breasts instead of thighs, but it's a little hard to tell with all the sauce and everything. But, you know, this is also something that you need to take into consideration because you can overcook chicken breasts. There were a few other things. He didn't add a smoke element to this, which is something that you can add at home. I'm sure that Ramsay didn't do it because a lot of people in the West don't cook like this. So trying to add a smoking element to this may be a little difficult for some people to do. Okay, so this is one thing. And as far as the chilies, Gordon was adding a lot of cayenne, which cayenne is spicy. And depending on how much you add chili powder to this, it can make it very spicy. So if you don't want that, you know, you need to substitute it for like a sweet paprika or Diggy Mitch if you can get that as well, but check it to make sure that it's not spicy. Gordon didn't add bay leaves, but he did add lemon to this. And I don't think I saw him add any cinnamon to this as well. And this is also another element that we have seen with, say, Ramsay's recipe, which is a delicious recipe. So in any case, guys, let me know down below what you think of this recipe, or better yet, check out the rest of the reviews that we have done with all the chefs with butter chicken, and we made as well Chef Ramsay's butter chicken and Jamie Oliver's butter chicken. Check those videos out and then let me know down below which one do you think out of all the videos is the best recipe. In any case, guys, hopefully you did enjoy this video, and if you did, then be sure to give this a like, give it a share, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so you don't miss out on any future content. Be sure to check out the next video coming up here, which should be a butter chicken video, and I will see you guys again very soon. Until then, take care.